Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Undercurrent in a week where fires have once again ravaged our fair state, and we certainly hope you are okay. I'm Christy Molliger. Well, first up on tonight's show, Jasmine Armis took a trip down to Fremantle to take a look at the recent Save the Kimberley protest.
More than 20,000 people have come down to the Fremantle Esplanade to sing and dance along with John Butler Trio and Missy Higgins.
We're here today to stand up for the Kimberley and the values of a really precious part of the world, a place that's much too precious to lose.
We can't keep destroying our planet. We've got to start putting our money into sustainable energy rather than oil and gas and causing more and more destruction. It's up to us, it's not just up to the government.
Oh look, I've known about this for a while. We've been watching it on Facebook. Big supporter of the Kimberley. I lived and worked up there for years. So yeah, we always support anything to do with anti-James Price Point. And to see such a lineup like this is fabulous, and to do a rally and show our support. And that way is where it's all at. It's a family-friendly day, so why not come down and support it?
Supporting my culture and the area I live in, where they are doing this gas plant stuff. And I'm totally all against that.
It's not exactly something that I'd like to see in the community, because the community is a really great place as it is. People come to Broome for the tourism side of things, and having a gas hub only, 40 minutes out of town isn't ideal. It's going to ruin the oceans. It's right in the middle of whale migratory routes. There's a lot of sacred sites around the area as well, and people have to consider, the education of the kids as well in the area, because as we've seen in the past with lots of mining industries and things like that, the communities haven't exactly benefited as much as they're supposed to from these kinds of industries.
Yeah, it's good to see how many people have a view on it. Yeah, so that's quite enlightening.
Do you think concerts and events like this can make a difference?
Absolutely, mate. It reaches the people, makes it more widely and deeply felt, It brings it all home, and it's educating the kids as well, which is probably more important because they're the voters of the future.
Personally, I think that regardless of how many people come down to any fundraising event, it's not going to make a difference, as every other thing that any person's ever stood up for. If the government wants to do it, it's going to happen.
We have every chance. What we're seeing today is people power on a very, very large scale, and there's a lot more of us than this. I hope the people up in Broome take heart, that they've got supporters right around the country.
So Environs Kimberley has been working on this project for 5 years now. And what we've been doing is looking at all the detail that Woodside and the state government has been providing to try and justify this project. And what we found out through that process is that this would cause enormous damage to the Kimberley coast. And the Kimberley coast is one of the most intact coastal areas in the world, and it's comparable to Antarctica and the Arctic. And what we're saying is this is the wrong place for the largest gas refinery in the world, and there are alternatives.
Half the major shareholders don't want anything to do with it. They want to offshore into international waters or pipe down to the Pilbara, which will be $5 billion cheaper than doing it there. It's pretty much just Colin Barnett that wants it there. But next election's coming, so hopefully it gets voted out and we'll stop it. We're all confident we will.
They look after heritage going back 500 years. But for our Aboriginal heritage going back thousands of years, they want to destroy it. So the time has come to make a stand, and I'm here today. And to see 20,000 people march for the Kimberley, it brought tears to my eyes.
I think it's a learning process for the other people out there when they see people that they like up there singing, people who are quite famous and really down to earth, but just beautiful people doing what they're doing. And then all these young people come and support this. It's showing that they are learning about country as well, and that's what we all need to know. We have to relearn our history, but now other Australians are, so it's just fabulous. I'm really so thrilled.
When we're together, we're strong. When we all come together in one place and raise our voices, we're strong, and we can stop this. We can work for alternatives to this terrible form of industrial development.
Save the Kimberley!
Well, we all know the property world can be a little volatile, but it would appear at this very moment in time it certainly isn't a seller's market. Bianca Olsen has more.
Properties for sale in Perth have hit an all-time low according to Real Estate Institute of WA figures. REWA figures show that in April 2011, 18,000 houses were for sale. That number has now almost halved. The figures show that a year ago there were over 14,000 properties for sale. In just the last month alone, the amount of properties has dropped from 9,417 to 8,898. One reason for this sharp decline is property owners are turning to Perth's booming rental market to make their money. REWA President David Airy says properties are selling faster than the market can replace them at the moment.
Well, a year ago we had 14,000 properties for sale on the Perth market. About a month ago we had 9,500, and now today 8,898 listings for sale in Perth. So we've sold all those other properties and they're selling quicker than we can replace stock. The reasons are that the market has finally caught up. The buyers have now exceeded the amount of supply. The people that have been selling have finally got their houses sold, and we're just not getting enough new stock. Buyers have decided that the property market looks good. Interest rates are quite low comparative to what they were a year ago, and all the signs are out there that the property market looks good. So it's making people rush out to buy, and particularly cheaper properties.
Many people, if they have not been affected by this shortage, know someone who has.
I bought in 2010, so we don't really feel the shortage, but I do know a lot of people that are unable to find places to live, rent or buy. So people are getting forced to the outskirts of the city, where essentially there's a lot of land that the government could release. If they just built up, there'd probably be a better solution than building out and having people to drive 2 hours to work in the mornings. Yeah, look, I see a lot of outward expansion. So, expanding all of our Tianjin, but I don't really see it expanding up. So that might be one of the solutions to the housing shortage.
However, Mr. Airy says sellers will benefit from this shorting housing, with demand outweighing supply and pushing prices up.
Well, buyers are probably going to find that if they want to buy a property that they've set their heart on, that they've seen, they're probably going to have to make an offer pretty close to the asking price, or certainly a good offer. Most likely they'll be competing. Their offer will be competing with other people's offers to buy the same property. And what that means is we're turning into more a seller's market, a market that favours the seller rather than the buyer. Well, the rental market's stabilised a bit. Rents are still very high, but we're still very short of rental properties. The rental vacancy factor's still under 2%. Huge demand for rentals between $300 and $600 a week, and quite strong demand for more expensive properties.
According to the real estate industry, 12,000 properties at sale at any given time creates a good balance between supply and demand in Perth.
About 12,000 in the Perth market's a good balance. It just says it's a very nice neutral market, and we had that for a little while around the middle of last year. Now, that's just the measure between the amount of available supply and the normal average of properties being sold. So that's why we say it's a perfect balance. So therefore at 9,000 we're probably 25% under what's a perfect balance, which means there's a lot of pressure, upward pressure on prices and big pressure from buyers. So I think with the way that things are selling at the moment, we're probably in this particular quarter, and here we are now nearly on the beginning of March and a month to go. When we measure this at the end of the March quarter, I think we will see prices rising, and certainly by the middle of the year there's likely to be some price increases.
This is Bianca Olsen reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, we suppose there's no better time to ask you than in the lead up to an election. Do you trust your politicians? Well, that is exactly what we asked this week when we took to the streets of Perth. Josephine Thornton shares your thoughts.
Today, all over the world, politics often goes hand in hand with controversy, with uncomfortable truths uncovered and promises broken. Is this an unavoidable part of politics and life in the public eye? Do the Australian public trust their politicians? Do you like your politicians?
Do you like the politicians? Oh, look, they've got a role to play. Some of them are great, some of them are a very difficult situation. So I think they do the best job they can. So there's a blend between being liked by the community, also achieving their ambition, and getting to do what they need to do. Tough gig.
I don't have a problem with them. I think their job is pretty hard, so sometimes they're not going to make everyone happy, but when they can, I guess they do a good job.
It seems like the opinion of politicians are very controversial, so you want to believe one, but then the other one says something completely different, so not really.
Not particularly, no.
So yeah, sometimes I like it. It depends what they're doing. If the good thing, yeah.
Why do you think they break promises?
Because they promise things they can't deliver just to make it sound good. You know, it'd be great if they could do it, but they probably just can't do everything.
Oh, the circumstances change. Public opinion changes. It's a case of they're there to win votes, so they're going to change whatever the public wants them to do, or whoever they need to impress, who's going to give them the biggest impact so they stay in position.
Probably because when they make them, they haven't got any idea that what money's available.
I don't know, to be honest. I think they try to please one side and then it backfires, and then they try to please the other, and when the elections come up, they got all these promises that they can't really hold, and then they just break them.
Do you think lying in the workplace should lead to firings or more retribution?
Depends on the depth of the lie, I suppose.
Oh, look, they need to, when they're caught out, they need to actually show they've been caught out. I mean, that's honesty. Otherwise, and they need to be shown as honest. And if they're hiding things, then they can't. They're just deceitful, and then their integrity is shot, and then they shouldn't be in politics.
I believe so. Yeah, they should be responsible for what they say.
No, not really. I think they're human just like everybody else.
Do you think there's any way to make politics honest?
They should be made more accountable for their lives.
Attach a lie detector to them the whole time, I reckon.
Do you think controversy like this has become too much a part of politics?
Unfortunately, trying to put down your opposition so they don't have integrity or don't have a leg to stand on, therefore create controversy. I mean, that's their job. I wish it wasn't. I wish that wasn't their goal, because it distracts from what they're really trying to achieve.
As the election draws to a close, the pressure will soon be on for the winners to make important changes to Western Australia. And it will remain to be seen what these changes will be and what difference they'll make to WA and its voters. This is Josie Thornton reporting for Undercurrents.
Well, seems like we've already crammed so much in, but plenty more to come. Time for a quick commercial break here on Undercurrent. Catch you again soon.
Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.